Bash, Dash and the Breakdown Train. Bash and Dash are twin engines who work in the yards near the big station on the island of Sodor. They love working together wherever they go. They always want to have fun, but also be really useful too. Ferdinand keeps an eye on them to make sure they do their work well. Bash and Dash like working with Ferdinand because they know he will always be there to help them out. One morning, the twins were getting ready to start their day's work. The Fat Controller arrived to see them. "Good morning," he said to them. "I've got bad news for you, I'm afraid. Ferdinand is unwell, so I've had to send him to the workstation to be mended." Bash and Dash were disappointed. "Oh no," said Bash. "What will we do?" "Well, you can't work on your own," said the Fat Controller, "but I hear that Den and Dart need help at the fuel depot today." "That sounds like fun," said Dash, but he wasn't sure. "Make sure you both work hard and listen to Den whilst you're there," the Fat Controller added. "Yes, sir," puffed Bash. "Will do, sir," wheezed Dash. And the two engines puffed out of the yards. As Bash and Dash puffed along the line towards the fuel depot, they were worried. They had never worked there before. "I hope Den is okay with us working with him today," puffed Bash. "Me too," said Dash. "I hope nothing goes wrong." The two engines puffed into the depot. Den and Dart were there waiting for them. They were surprised to see Bash and Dash. They had never met engines like them before. Bash and Dash puffed up to the two diesels. They were very nervous about meeting them, so they both took a deep breath. "Hello, I'm Bash, and I'm Dash." Dart was pleased to see them. "My name's Dart," he tooted. Den sighed. "My name's Den," he said. "You must be the diesel in charge," steamed Bash. "Yes, I am," claimed Den. "Now remember, the fuel depot is not a play area, so please take care around here and no silliness. I will be watching you." "Yes, Den," gulped Dash. "Good," said Den. "Now off to work, please. We have trucks to shunt." "Right away, Den," said Bash and Dash together, and all the engines went to work. Bash and Dash carefully shunted some empty fuel trucks from one siding to another, and then they shunted loaded trucks to the other end of the yard. Den watched as they puffed past him. The twins were worried by Den's look. They thought he wasn't happy with them. "He doesn't look happy," Bash shuddered. "I hope we're doing a good job," Dash chuffed. "You're doing okay," said Bash's driver. "Don't think about it too much," agreed Dash's driver. But no matter how hard they worked, they couldn't stop thinking about Den's words. Den's words flew around their boilers and their wheels. They looked very worried and puffed on with a worried look on their faces. Dart could see that they did not look happy. Later, Bash and Dash were resting in a siding. Their drivers were enjoying their tea break. Dart trotted up to the engines. He wanted to see if they were all right. "Hello," he said. "Is anything wrong?" "We're worried about Den," said Bash. "He sounds like he's not impressed to see us." "We're worried we'll upset him if we do anything wrong," added Dash. "He will not want us to work with him again." "He looks scary," the twins puffed together. Dart understood where the engines were coming from, but then he smiled. "Don't worry about Den," he said happily. "He's just concerned about his work. I'm sure he won't be that upset with you." "Really?" asked Bash. "Of course," smiled Dart. "He may be strict, but his heart is in the right place." Then their drivers returned. "Break's over," said Dash's driver. "Come on, back to work." The twins agreed and they drew up their steam. "Thank you, Dart," whistled Bash. "You're a good friend," agreed Dash, and they puffed away feeling better. Dart was pleased to have helped them. Then he set off to collect his trucks. Later that day, Bash and Dash were shunting some trucks in front of some other trucks. As they stopped, they were surprised to see a very unusual train in a siding next to them. "Look at that!" gasped Dash. "I've never seen a train like that before," glared Bash. Den chugged in with some flatbeds. He stopped when he saw the two engines. "What's the matter with you two?" he asked sternly. "Why have you stopped?" "What's that?" asked Bash. Den looked and grinned. "That's the breakdown train," he said. "What's the breakdown train?" asked Bash. "It's an important train that deals with emergencies on the tracks," explained Den. "The workmen travel in the coach and the cranes are for lifting engines, coaches and trucks back onto the tracks. The workmen travel in the coach and the cranes are for lifting engines, coaches and trucks back onto the tracks. It's a very important train." Bash and Dash were impressed. They thought this train was very special. "Come on, back to work," tooted Den. Bash and Dash set off to shunt more trucks. Den then went back to his train. As they worked hard, they couldn't stop thinking about the breakdown train. They hoped they would be able to see it in action one day. "I wonder if it will be used today," grinned Bash. "You never know," replied Dash. "You'll have to wait and see," said Dash's driver. A while later, Bash and Dash went to see Den and Dart. They were resting in a siding and their drivers were filling them both up with fuel. "It's very busy here," said Bash. "We've never shunted that many trucks before," put in Dash. "You two are doing well," said Dart. "What do you think, Den?" Bash and Dash looked at Den and hoped that he was impressed. "Well, you two have worked hard," sighed Den, "but we'll see by the end of the day." Bash and Dash sighed glumly. Suddenly the alarm rang. The engines were surprised. "What's that?" cried Bash. "Something's wrong," groaned Dart. The foreman ran over to the engines. He was very worried. "There's been an accident," he explained. "Molly has come off the tracks by the canal. She's all right, but she needs to be rescued quickly." Then the twins knew what to do. "We need the breakdown train," cried Bash straight away. "Let's get the train and go to the rescue," wished Dash. "Hang on, you two," boomed Den. "The breakdown train is heavy. You won't be able to pull it on your own." The twins knew Den was right. Then Dash had an idea. "Den, can you and Dart push on the back?" he asked. "Then with the four of us together, we can get the train to Molly quickly." Dart thought this was a great idea. Den had to agree. "Okay then," agreed Den, "but we'll have to be quick." "Hurry," said the foreman. Bash and Dash were coupled up to the front of the train, and Den and Dart buffered up to the back. When everything was ready, they set off out of the yards. The engines all pushed and pulled as hard as they could. Pull harder, panted Bash. Do my best, heaved Dash. They were determined to help Molly. Den and Dart groaned as they pushed their hardest. "I hope we're not too late, groaned Dart. We'll get there, choked Den. Molly was very unhappy. She had come off the tracks and had landed with her wheels on the side of the riverbank. She was worried that she would fall into the water. "Don't worry, girl," soothed her driver. "Help is on its way. You'll be back on the rails in no time." "I hope so," groaned Molly. Soon the engines arrived with the breakdown train. They were surprised when they saw the mess the trucks had made. "Drain my diesel oil!" cried Dart. Bash and Dash were ready to start work. As soon as they were uncoupled, they went to deal with the unhurt trucks. The trucks were surprised to see them. "Oh no, oh dear," they groaned. Oh, be quiet! Scolded Dash. They worked hard, pushing and pulling the trucks away from the canal. They bumped them very hard. Take that! Cried Bash, and he gave them a bump. Oh, oh, oh! Cried the trucks. That will teach you a lesson, declared Dash. The trucks quivered from wheel top to wheel. Den and Dart were surprised to see them work so hard. Even Molly was amazed with their work. When all the trucks were sorted, the cranes went to work on Molly. The engines watched as the cranes slowly and gently lifted Molly off the bank. Bash and Dash watched in amazement as Molly was lifted into the air. Oh, me! Smiled Bash. Oh, my! Added Dash. In no time at all, Molly was lowered back onto the rails. The workmen were very pleased that the work was done. They checked Molly all over. She wasn't hurt, but she was a bit muddy and her wheels were dirty. You'll have to go to the works to be mended, said the workman, but you won't be able to puff there, I'm afraid. Then how can I get there? Asked Molly. Then Bash puffed forward. We'll take you there, he suggested. Won't we, Dash? Dash puffed alongside his twin. You can rely on us, he agreed. They both looked at Den to see if it was alright with him. Den gave a happy smile. You two look after Molly, he said. We'll take care of the breakdown train. Bash and Dash were soon coupled up to Molly. Bash was at the front and Dash was put to the back. Then they set off for the works. See you later, tooted Dart. Bash and Dash heaved and hauled Molly along the track. It was a long way to the works. Molly was a heavy engine, but they wouldn't give up. We'll be there in no time, said Bash. Don't worry about a thing, puffed Dash. Leave the works to us. Molly smiled as they rolled along. At last the two engines puffed into the works with Molly. They were tired, but very happy to have helped. We made it! Cried Bash. Hooray! Cheered Dash. Victor and Ferdinand were there. They were amazed. My goodness, smiled Ferdinand. I am very impressed. And so am I, said a voice. Bash and Dash looked around them. They saw it was the Fat Controller. I am very proud with you two, he smiled. You worked very well with the rescue and proved to be really useful with the breakdown train. Thank you, sir, panted the two engines. Thank you very much, smiled Molly. You two are heroes, put in Victor. I think the two of you have proved yourself to be really useful, added the Fat Controller. Now go back to the fuel depot. I think Den would like to see you. On our way, sir, whistled Bash. We'll go straight there, beamed Dash. Goodbye, twins, called Ferdinand. Bash and Dash steamed happily back to the depot. The sun was setting, but they were very pleased with themselves. That night, the two engines joined Den and Dart in the shed. Den spoke kindly to them. I thought you two did well with the shunting today, he said, but I was surprised with how you handled all those naughty trucks. You certainly showed them a thing or two. You two are very good at rescues, agreed Dart. You certainly impressed me as well. So you liked our work? Asked Bash. You worked hard and showed just how useful you can be, said Den with a smile on his voice. I think you two are really useful engines indeed. I'll agree to that, smiled Dart. Bash and Dash were so happy they beamed from side to side. Thank you, Den, said Dash with a grin. I know one thing's for sure. What's that? Asked Bash. Being really useful can be shown in all sorts of ways, replied Dash, and we've shown that teamwork is a very useful thing indeed. Den and Dart agreed, and Bash and Dash felt like the happiest engines of all.